Welcome back to the Bird Cave. So you'll probably notice this is not a gaming video. In fact, it's not even on the right channel. You're probably wondering what the hell you're doing here. What's this other channel called? Working title, I guess I'll just paste it in the middle of the screen. Well, fun thing you should ask, because this is my second channel dedicated to all things toy and toy-related, basically. Toys. I like toys, okay? I like Nerf toys. But at the very least, we can have some fun with them. Today, if you couldn't tell by the title of the video, I will be looking at exclusively Pizzles. And if Pizzles is a confusing word to you, then basically I just mean pistols. I'm just saying a silly voice for funnies. Pistol number 1. The Jolt. This is basically the most essential Nerf pistol you can get. You pull the thing on this thing, boop, primes it, and you pull the trigger, boop, and it fires it. It's got some little notches, groove notches for fingers cut into the grip here. There's your trigger. It's just kind of like it's like an upward hinging trigger, if I can like show the motions for you, which seems to operate off of this little thin piece of black plastic that goes down the middle there. This is pretty much common on most Jolt models that I know of. There might be some that operate differently, but that's as far as I know, that's how that works. This is literally the most bare bones essential Nerf pistol you can get. No attachments, no frame to make it look different. This is some air and a dart to get propelled by it. It takes one dart, using Nerf Elite 2.0s for reference, goes in there like that, squeeze the trigger, and poof skis, I've killed my jacket. Obviously somewhere down the line they thought that one dart wasn't enough, because they took the same Pizzle design. I should at least keep consistently with the theme, shouldn't I? And figured, you know, one's not enough, why don't we have 3? And then they made the Triad Ex-3. This is once again kind of this emergency style bare bones pistol with not too much going on about it that's out of the ordinary. The grip, I don't know if it's because the cylinder is larger or maybe it's just packed out a bit more to fit in the hand a bit better, but this is a bit more comfortable than this tiny little Derringer thing. This feels like you're wielding a gun for toddlers. They have their juniors range now, or their early Nerfers, whatever the fuck. I don't know if they shoot weaker or not. I've never tried one, to be honest. It might actually be a beast. So anyway, try the X3. It's the same deal. Pull the plunger to prime, pull the trigger to fire, only this time you get 3 darts, and due to the smart AR system that they call it, the gun detects based on the pressure the dart puts on the inside of the barrel, if you could even call it that. It's more just a slot for the dart to sit before it eventually gets propelled outwards. But it's just blasting off it. It's a controlled explosion, pretty much, is what this is. And when I say controlled, I mean barely controlled. So you're not firing all 3 at once, as cool as that would be. So obviously it's the bottom one. Then I guess the right-hand barrel from the shooter's perspective. I'm not gonna bother with fucking perspectives today. And that's the left one. Yay! It's another Jolt, but there's more of it. And these come in a whole bunch of different variants. So there's like there's a Minecraft one. There's like a Fortnite one. There's effectively the Triad, but the barrels are stacked on top of each other. They made a 3-barreled version of that, and they made a 4-barreled version of that. And they made a lot of those, actually. There's the, I think, Alpha Strike series. There's the Elite 2.0 series. Even the Nerf Elite, the N-Strike Elite series had one of them. It's been done to death, guys. Stop doing it. So for our next one, we're going up in size, but kind of down in performance, really. It's kind of a step up. I'm not going to say down in performance, actually, but we're starting to get a little more technologically complex. The next gun, the Fortnite SP something I forgot. So it's supposed to be a Fortnite suppressed pistol, because it comes with this goofy ass suppressor attachment that you thread onto the N-Strike barrel lug that this has. Lock it into place, and there we go. Your shots are at exactly the same volume. They just shoot less because the friction caused by the suppressor caused the dart to just kind of droop out the end of the barrel. It's pretty embarrassing, to be honest. I mean, there's no reason to use this at all, this suppressor. I don't know if it's because I've been using this so much, but it feels weaker than ever. With the suppressor off, it fires a bit further and just as inaccurately. I don't know if that's the darts or if it's just the blaster. Actually, that did feel stronger. So, it's slide operated dish. It's more of a pump action thing. You poof, pump, poof with this hinged trigger action that you will see on very few blasters outside of Fortnite. It's for me, I like this trigger system. It feels more comfortable than most of the others. The others are mainly kind of like a push trigger that kind of even squeaks a little bit. It's quite noisy. Trigger's important, okay? It's important to me, at least. This feels like there's kind of some let off with the spring, and then it's poof, it goes. It just kind of... Okay, they put some effort into this blaster to try and make it look like a pistol, even though it's got a 3-round internal magazine in the front end instead of in the grip. You will find that is a feature of very few blasters outside of Adventure. Is Adventure? No, it's Dart Zone. Dart Zone do this kind of pistol thing with half darts where it goes into the grip. And there's also a third-party company that created a pistol called the Zinc 2.0, which has a half dart magazine that also goes into the pistol grip like a normal pistol should. But this doesn't do that. It's got that. Sights. You can see while you're holding it. That's about the extent of it. It's got this front notch and nothing at the back to line it up with. When you put the suppressor on, the bulge is not quite enough to block out the sight, but the Fortnite-ness of this is showing very well. None of the angles kind of line up because they tried to make it look like an actual Fortnite weapon. Other features. Comfy grip. And there's a slide release, so if you get a dart stuck in there, you push the button and it goes clunk, and then you can fish out whatever peanut you loaded in there to be an annoying little prick and ruin your Nerf gun, and you're back to shooting people at an increasingly loud speed but with less performance. It's one of the guns of all time. Okay, so we're going up in performance and capacity, only slightly, really. So that other gun I feel like shoots slightly weaker than a Jolt because a Jolt is essentially Nerf at its best performance. This one I'd say shoots the same, if not better, and I like the overall ergonomics of it. It's the Nerf Fortnite revolver. It's supposed to be a revolver with a suppressor on it, which is dumb as fuck. Anyone who knows guns will know why that's dumb as fuck. But I will say that it's dumb as fuck because the suppressor doesn't come off with this one. If you put that giant 3D printed suppressor attachment on the end of this, it locks on and you can't get it off, which is one of the strangest design ideas for a Nerf pistol I think I've ever heard of. Why you would have a non-removable extra fucking several inches on the end of your blaster for no apparent reason other than looks kinda cool. This is prime time right here. This package is all you'll ever need. It's got this cowboy style pistol grip that tapers as it goes down, so it mainly fits the grip profile of most a Nerf shooter. It's got the same hinge trigger I was talking about earlier. This one's hammer action, by the way. I probably should have mentioned that at the beginning. In true cowboy fashion, this is hammer action, so depressing the hammer advances the cylinder, also primes the weapon, poof, fire. You've shot someone. In my case, I've shot my jacket, but if anyone else was stood there, they'd have been hit by a dart and it would have been ouchy. That one was a bit, I don't know, a bit more gusto, even bounced back at me. So yeah, you can just kind of, this is one of the few Nerf pistols you can operate with one hand, the exception being the last one that I'll show you. And, yeah, the more you work with this thing, kind of the easier it becomes to use. You get used to this kind of, you almost have to, like, it's quite a long reach to be able to move this hammer, and unless you're used to it, it's gonna be a bit of a pain in the ass. The thing I was gonna point out about these revolvers, this Fortnite thing, is that it's very convenient if you want to wield two of them, that you can prime them with one hand, because you can kind of, like, successfully dual wield. It's a bit goofy, but like you can prime both. You can get a system working with this that you like, and then of course you've got to stop and reload both cylinders manually. Dual wielding isn't as cool as you think it is, kids. Okay, so for my next trick, we're going to be moving down in capacity, up in caliber, and down in syndrome. We have the Nerf Mega Magnus. So, the Mega range, the gimmick is basically, here's your standard classic Nerf Elite dart. Holy shit, that's a Mega. This is specifically a Mega Accu-Strike dart that's made without the whistling bit and supposed to fly more accurately. Have I noticed a difference? No, not really. I've noticed these are heavier, so they travel a little bit slower, but otherwise perform basically the same. So the Magnus has the same slide functioning mechanism as the Fortnite SP, whatever it was. 3-round internal mag capacity. This makes a lot more sense for this gun because the rounds are so big, but for the other one I feel like they could have fit in a couple more. Look, ammo capacity is important in a gunfight. That's always been the case. You can't win a gunfight if you run out of bullets, but the point of this, or at least I guess the aesthetic that they're trying to give off, is you only need to fire this thing once to ever actually truly do some damage. That's a beefy ass, I mean, okay, so issues with Mega. You don't get as much exit velocity, but the dart is heavier, so it hits with about the same, if not more, force. This is not an accuracy weapon. This is a damage weapon. It has a lot of the same features as the other gun. It has a slide release on the end here. The only difference is it doesn't have end strike locking lugs on the end. I guess this does have another feature, which is an attachment point on the bottom for something. I don't know if you want to put a bipod or a light or a scope. So the only accessory attachment I really have is this scope. Tell me this doesn't look dumb as shit, and I will tell you you're a fucking liar. Okay, so we are transitioning to the next blaster now. I debated even showing this one at all, because I wouldn't really consider it a pistol, and then I kinda did, just because of the weapon's overall kinda short length, and the fact that it's got a collapsible stock means you can kind of hold it. It's about the same size as the Magnus. This is the Nerf Mega Accu-Strike Bulldog. So the Bulldog is one of the guns of all time. You remember the Triad Ex-3 and its smart AR system? Well, this has that, but for Mega darts. You know, a line of 3. So you put all of these in the end, and it fires them sequence by sequence when you pull the priming handle back here, which you can do in its collapsed form. But if you hadn't guessed already, this device can kind of pull out into this compact SMG type thing with this stock that is way too short. Fucking why? This isn't a stock, this is basically a glorified ashtray. Look at that. So the fact that the weapon works both in an expanded and compacted form is very enjoyable, makes for some interesting combat mechanics. The foregrip is kind of nice. I don't know what this gun is, I'll be honest. So this flip-up front sight is actually kind of useful. It's probably the most useful optic we've had all day, because you can align it with the front pin of the gun to compensate for droop. This is a Nerf dart. The darts will drop unless they're moving so fast you've got an actual weapon on your hands. The only stinky thing about this flip-up front sight is that they've got an optic rail here, and then you go, ooh, love to see through my optic, but there's this stupid flappy pillar in the way. You can't remove this, really. You can't just disable it. I mean, I guess you could if you wanted to break it. Yeah, okay, it does come off. It's not much of a pistol, but I suppose it is an improvement from the Magnus in a couple subtle ways. So, first of all, it's not as creaky. The Magnus is one of the creakiest, noisiest Nerf blasters of all time. Imagine being on a stealth operation, choosing a pistol as your secondary and being like, shh, there's guards ahead. Let me take them out. No! This very few creaky components. You have this prime here. That's all the noise you're getting from this thing. Pretty big upgrade. So, we all like Pizzles here, don't we? I mean, we like the Triad and we like the Bulldog. But I like Elite Darts and I like Meg. Why can't I shoot them both in one blaster? Good fucking grief, what am I holding? This is the Nerf Elite Dual Strike. I didn't know this. I knew this thing existed, I'd seen it about before, but I never saw it in the flesh until a couple days ago where a mate of mine pointed it out that this was in a charity shop, and I was like, this is probably one of the rarest Nerf blasters I've ever seen. I've never seen this sold, anyway, let alone have I seen it, like, in a shop of any description. So the gimmick with this is that it shoots 3 Elite Darts with the same kind of Jolt-style priming system. Excuse you. But also it has this select fire switch, so you can switch to shooting megas at any point. We seriously need to talk about your barrel problem. Mounting rail up the top, where it should be, for a sight. Did that sit properly? I think it has. It's got the notch where the notch is supposed to be, so you can aim with this vaguely accurate fart gun. I don't know why this spring is so buzzy. It's probably because this is from a charity shop, so it's a used product. I'd imagine someone's used the shit out of it. But I like the I do like the idea that you could select that. Regular rounds. Oh, but this guy's wearing armor. Mega armor bitch. I don't know how efficient this system is. I do like this select fire is very amusing. So it kind of stays in the position you want it to be, but there's this distinct click when it moves into the mega position and back to the elite position. It's very fun. It's a fun. This is made for fun, really, isn't it? Let's fire the last dart. It keeps getting stuck in my tie rack. Sights doesn't really have any. Once again, they've got a front notch, but never really thought about the back end. I guess if you align the bottom of the rail, it kind of... No, because then you're pointing the gun downwards. You want to be pointing it upwards for maximum effect. That's kind of the point of these sights. Fairly comfortable in the barrel, but why would you use it? It's perfectly light enough to be carried as a pistol anyway. The weight distribution is very good. Earlier I said the Bulldog was probably one of the most practical Nerf Mega blasters out there of all time. Let me show you the most practical. It's the Nerf Mega Cycloneshock. This has been many an argument between me and my sister. I go to grab this thing and I go, get the fuck out of my room, and that usually fucking works, because this tells you all you need to know about how someone feels about you when you point it their direction. It is a 6-round cylinder capacity revolving Nerf Mega Blaster. Pump slide thing operated. Pull on this, advances the cylinder, primes the weapon, and it goes all flappy. Pull the trigger, fires the weapon. Let's get some darts in this fucker. So we're using a mixture of regular Nerf Mega and AccuStrike because this video is getting quite long as it is, and I don't want to have to search for new darts. So, compared to the Magnus, this has a bit more power. It's just so simple. You pull on that, and it moves the next dart into position, you fire it, and it's very self-contained. The magazine has to, like, feed it upwards, and then you almost have to, like, chamber it separately. Like, that's the thing with a lot of these guns. You see with the Magnus, this whole barrel has to slide over the dart in order to move it forward, or, like, you know, there's a lot of moving parts in there. Whereas this is very simple. The revolver is the chamber. The dart, it's already where it needs to be. So yeah, no stock, no barrel attachment point. It does have the optic rail in the right place. You know, for all the range you're going to get out of a spring-powered mega gun. Okay, so there is one... There are two more blasters I'm going to show you. One is the one I forgot about. I meant to show you this earlier. In fact, I might even just edit it out. So next we have the Nerf, I think it's Reflex X-1? It's got the Nerf logo on it. I believe this was it was branded as an elite shooter. So this is it. It's kind of this, also one-shot Derringer, kind of like the Jolt, but instead of the spring thing being down there, it's all up here. Pull that back, and now it's primed. This rod is always back when it's primed, because I think that's where the spring housing kind of expands back. There's a bit of a weird design, this thing. Pull that, depresses it, fires. Okay, this last blaster. I hate it. I love a lot of things about it. I hate some things about it. Not really as much as to degrade the blast. There's a reason I'm saving this till last, but I have a lot to say, and that says something considering how long I've been babbling already. I've probably been talking for about half an hour. The last blaster I'm going to show you today is the Nerf Ultra 2. The Nerf Ultra, this is the only Nerf Ultra blaster I own. Nerf Ultra shoots this very unique style of dart here. This is the AccuStrike version. I have a lot of the AccuStrike darts just because, you know, when you're shooting these things, you kind of want to aim for accuracy. Regularly it takes these Ultra darts here. Black body, orange tip, kind of squishy. These ones are also squishy. In fact, anything squishier, it's just the profile is supposed to make it go better. I can't testify because I haven't shot this thing at range yet. I don't know if I ever plan to shoot this thing at range, because every time I do, it gets lost in the grass. Okay, so there's a lot of cool things I like about this. You can see it's got a rev trigger at the bottom, because, yes, it's It's a battery-operated flywheeler pistol. You don't see many of these days. In fact, when it comes to mind, the only thing that's close enough, that's maybe a similar enough shape and profile that could be short enough, would probably be the Strife, the Nerf Elite Strife. Obviously, it's not a pistol, it's kind of supposed to have this SMG-type feel to it, but it's short enough where it could be a pistol. And that's what makes the Strife so fun, is because it's so compact. The Nerf Ultra 2 is a revolver. It's a battery-powered, flywheeler-driven revolver. There are probably Nerf Ultra optics that you can put on that aren't this tacky, horrible scope that I got off a water gun, by the way. This scope came with, I think it was the Nerf Super Soaker Shot Blast or something like that. It came with that. It's one of the best Nerf optics I've seen so far. It actually has a piece of either glass or plastic in the end with something mounted on it. It's a bit dirty because I think I filled it with sand at some point. You know how kids are. They're just stupid and do stupid things to ruin your toy, so as an adult, when you come back to appreciate them in the future, they all look shit. In true Nerf fashion, the print disappears when you flip it round, which is, you know, you'd think with a premium range like Ultra, they would keep that. And that's one of the things I guess I don't really like about the gun. Okay, visually, I like the design. But when you hold this thing in your hands, you realize how dreadful it really is. Let's start with the grip. The grip is, look at this, it does not look like it's shaped for human hands. The rev trigger, it kind of digs into your finger with a bit of a spike. If they'd have made this a bit flatter, it would have made more sense rather than what the hell this thing is. But it does kind of have this little slope here, this kind of little vulture's claw thing they got going on is necessary, because this is a heavy, it's not a heavy blaster. All the weight is in the front. This is the battery pack. They put the battery pack at the front end of the barrel at the top for as much leverage over your wrist as possible. It is exhausting to hold this thing for extended periods of time. My arm is cramping already. Inspection window here to clear blockages if I'm pointing a gun at my own face. Do you think I care about a few face blemishes? Look at my visage, it's not going to do any difference. Aiming system is, they've at least thought about rear sights with this one. It's got a couple notches on the back to align with notches on the front. Once again, Nerf darts droop, so I don't know how effective that's going to be. Barrel is at the bottom. It fires from the bottom of the cylinder, back here. So it fires the lowest dart. All the other darts you can reload at any point back here, because it has dart stops at the bottom of the cylinder that are actually, I think they're actually part of the kind of internals of the gun. and then the bottom of it does not, so you can't push in the bottom dart any further than it needs to be. It's in the right position when it's at the bottom. So I'd imagine with some jiggery-pokery you could fuck that up. However, if in the event that does happen, you open the flywheel inspector doors and... I have a lot of gripes. Now, let me show you the fun stuff. Need I say more? Flywheelers are fun. This is amazing. I mean, having to get, like, most flywheelers are either like some kind of rifle size thing, or the smallest one that I think you can get is the Stripe. That's kind of one of the smallest. I think Nerf Rival has a range of ball shooting flywheelers, maybe. And then there's obviously modded kits for extremely small pistols that operate that way, but this is ridiculous. This has a very hand cannon style feel to it. Anywhere from the heavy trigger pull to like the fact that you charge this up like some kind of Destiny weapon. That's what this looks like. It looks like a Destiny weapon. Nerf Ultra is very controversial. People have said that it's not particularly very accurate. Certain blasters don't quite meet the speed promises that Nerf gave when put together. But this is probably one of the most aesthetically great, and like in terms of firepower, this feels great when you fire it. Obviously, like I said, the downside is in the overall design. The grip design is not... It's comfortable enough, but that weight distribution really is a problem. If you want a quick zoom in, this is how the gun operates. The trigger's locked if the rev trigger is not depressed, but once it is, this foot at the bottom kicks out the dart that's in the bottom into the flywheels that will then accelerate it out the end of the gun. So this was my video on Nerf Pizzles. I hope you've enjoyed. I have been BertieQ5, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye!